Can Zoom hear us? Check, can you hear us?
I can hear on Zoom.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, we'll begin. I can't thank you enough for your service and for being on our very first Parks and Recreation Commission. It's quite an honor to have you all on our commission, and I hope to guide you through the process. I have our assistant district attorney with us today, Camilla Getz. She will be going over the Brown Act with you. I'll be reviewing some of our how do we conduct a meeting, and then I'll go over some future agenda items. So you should have all received your email with your agenda. So you all have a district email now. And I will be, after this meeting, I'll start sending you your agenda through that email. The website has been updated, so all of your information is on there. None of your personal information, just your district email is on there in case the public does want to get a hold of you. So because we don't have a chair and a vice chair at the moment, I'll go ahead and start the meeting. But our first order of business will be to select our chair and our vice chair. And then at that point, we may move you around as the chair sits in Commissioner Commissioner Pfister's spot, and the vice chair will sit in Commissioner Menender-Singh's spot. So we'll go ahead and take a roll.
Commissioner Green, Commissioner Nayar, Commissioner Pfister, Commissioner Maninder Singh is absent, Commissioner Raj Singh, alternate Commissioner Sear is absent, alternate Commissioner Sharma. Thank you.
First order of business too is when you're called to speak, go ahead and press the button on your microphone. The red light will turn on as well as the red light on your microphone. We do ask though that if you're not speaking to make sure you turn it off, because we do have some issues with our microphone. So keep it off when you're not speaking. And then if you do speak, we may have to ask you to turn it back on just so that the people on Zoom can hear you. And we're also recording this meeting for our minutes too. Okay, we'll go ahead and do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Public comment.
For public comments, persons wishing to address the Parks and Recreation Commission during the public comment portion of the agenda may complete the public comment form, which is located on the table at the back of the boardroom. No action or discussion shall be taken on any item raised during public comment, except that commissioners or staff members may briefly respond to statements or questions. If a member of the public wishes to comment on an agenda item, public comment forms should be submitted prior to the time the item is announced. Completion of the form is voluntary. Persons that do not fill out the form but still wish to speak will be allowed to do so. Public comments are limited to 3 minutes. Please turn off all electronic devices and please no personal attacks.
Okay, and at this portion of our agenda, we would typically go for the approval of the minutes. Since we obviously don't have any, we'll go ahead and skip that one for now. Okay, so our first order of business is to elect a chairperson and a vice chairperson. So staff recommends that the Mountain House Parks and Recreation Commission elect a chairperson and vice chairperson to serve from today through June 30th of 2024. So in accordance with our current rules of the commission shall appoint a chairperson from the among appointed members. They may appoint a vice chairperson to perform the duties of the chair in the chairperson's absence. And the officers shall typically hold it for 1 year, which is typically July 1st through June 30th of the following year, or until a successor is appointed. So at this time, you'll see you have a couple of pink sheets on your desk and a couple pencils too. What we'd like you to do is go ahead and to nominate who you would like to see as your chairperson from 1 to 5. 1 being who you would like to be the chairperson, and 5 being someone that you would not consider appointing as the chairperson. At this time, I would ask if there's anybody here that does not want to be considered to be a chairperson. Raise your hand. If you'd all would like to become a chairperson, go ahead and rate the 5 commissioners from 1 to 5. 1 being who you would like to see as your chairperson, down to 5 who you would not consider. Yep. Say it again.
The name and the spelling of the absent commissioner?
Commissioner Maninder Singh. And we have a list of our commissioners on the front page of your agenda if you need to refer to that. When you're done, I'll come and collect your votes. We have a tie. We have a tie? Oh, just a time. I'll go ahead and have a seat. Commissioner Singh, we have one piece of business before we get started. You'll see a pink sheet on your Okay, we need you to rate who you would like to choose as a our chairperson. Rating them from 1 being who you'd like to choose down to 5 who you would not recommend. If you do not want to be considered, you don't have to be. So you will be probably our deciding vote at this point. You need a list of them. Yep. First one being who you choose to be your chairperson, down to 5 who you don't recommend. And if you need a list, they're on the front page of your agenda. All right, we have a tie between Commissioner Yair and Commissioner Raj Singh. So I need on one of your, you have one more pink sheet. If you could choose between one of those 2 candidates, please. Just pick who you choose between those 2. Again, it's for Commissioner Nair and Commissioner Raj Singh.
Is it like a first and second? Or
Yeah.
just between? Okay.
I'm sure the suspense is killing you. All right, congratulations, Commissioner Nair. You are our chairperson.
Thank you.
So I'll have you move over to Scott. Yeah, you'll switch. Our last one will be vice chair. So again, you have one more, you should have one more pink slip. So go ahead and put in the same order, one being who you would choose for your vice chair, and 2, 3, 4, who you might not recommend for vice chair.
Right, same thing for vice chair.
Exactly. Oh, just the 4 left. All right, congratulations, Commissioner Pfister. You are our vice chair. So again, I'll have you move and switch with Commissioner Singh. All right, Chairperson Nair, you will go ahead and call the meeting to order officially right now.
Call the meeting to order
Okay.
officially.
So our second item of business tonight is to select 3 active and 1 alternate member to serve 2-year terms and all of the other members to serve a 4-year term. Staff recommends that the Mountain House Parks and Recreation Commission randomly select 3 active and 1 alternate member to serve 2-year terms and all over the serve 4. In accordance with the rules, the commission shall at the first meeting randomly select 3 commissioners and 1 alternate to serve 2-year terms who will end on June 30th, 2025 in order to stagger our terms. All other and future active and alternate commissioners may be appointed to serve a 4-year term. Each term expires on June 30th of the 4th or 2nd year. A member of the commission may be reappointed to any number of successive terms. Should a vacancy occur prior to expiration, the appointment to fill the vacancy shall be the remainder of the vacated term. So again, because it's going to be random, we have these to select out of a hat. If you've selected to be in a 4-year term, raise your hand. Okay. So all others will serve a 2-year term. Okay, our third order of business shall be to choose a regular day and time for all future meetings. So all district and public meetings are held here in the board chambers. The Mountain House CSD board chambers is currently being occupied for the following meetings. The Youth Action Committee meets on Tuesdays at 7. The Board of Directors typically meets on Wednesdays, the second Wednesday at 7. Public Safety Committee is typically the third Thursday of the month, but it's always the second to the last Thursday. And the Transportation Committee meets as needed. For action items to be approved by the commission to be recommended to the board at their next regular meeting, staff recommend that the commission be held on the third Tuesday, Wednesday of the month. Other days available are the first Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of the month, the fourth Tuesday and Wednesday. And items for the board would have to be presented on the month following next month. For example, if we were to have October commission meeting, it wouldn't go to the board until December. So those are things to be considered. If standard practice to hold the meetings at 7 p.m. to allow its members and residents the opportunity to participate after a workday. Staff recommends keeping it at 7 p.m. to start time to allow as much participation as possible. So this is where our chair will then open it up for discussion.
Okay, is there a certain protocol I have to use to open it for discussion or?
For now, go ahead. We'll be going over that actually in our next
Okay.
presentation. So for now, what I would recommend is you maybe go through your commissioners just down the row
Yeah,
and ask if they have any recommendation before somebody makes a motion.
okay. Ms. Green, any recommendation or?
Wednesday.
Which Wednesday? No, so we have to have a regular standing meeting. It always has to be on the second Wednesday of every month or the fifth Wednesday of the month. So you have to decide which. So right now,
When
we're
is
just
the
in
board
kind of a
meetings on the
discussion
second
phase. So you're
Mondays,
sharing
Wednesdays?
what you would recommend.
Okay,
Recommend the third Wednesdays of every month.
Okay. And Chair Niall, you'll go ahead and call on the commissioner so that they can speak. So you would say Commissioner Singh.
Commissioner Maninder, any recommendation or preference?
I'm okay with second Wednesday
Second
or
Wednesday.
third Thursday.
Second Wednesday is currently used by the Board of Directors.
Okay, so which one I have to choose from?
You could either do the third Tuesday or Wednesday, or we have the first Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or the fourth Tuesday, Wednesday. So right now we have a calendar up on your screen. You should see it on your screen in front of you. The ones that are grayed out are typically the ones that are already filled by standing meetings. So any of the other days are actually available.
Third Tuesday or fourth will work for me.
Commissioner Scott.
Yeah, I agree. I think either the third or fourth week, maybe every Wednesday would be my recommendation.
Commissioner Raj, any preference?
I would suggest third Tuesday or Thursday, please.
Third Tuesday. We can also open it up for discussion with our alternate members as well.
Alternate member Sanjay.
Yes, so I have one question before I give my feedback. Laura, when is the November meeting, MHCSD, the CSD meeting, board meeting?
They're always the second Wednesday of the month.
Second Wednesday.
Mhm.
So if we decide Wednesday, 4th of October, this meeting, the report will not go until next November meeting, right?
Correct.
Even we do on 4th or 18th, it's the same thing,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm. Typically, items from staff are due about is it the second Friday, the third Friday of the month?
I'm just trying to narrow down that if we do 18th, which is third Wednesday, will it be late to submit the reports to the?
No.
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 So
Well,
my,
the board package is published 1 week before the board meeting. But they like to have a few days before that to get the staff reports
Mhm.
completed.
I would choose Wednesday, third week.
Okay. So did you all find a consensus amongst the 6 of you so far?
I don't think so. I think everybody had a different date.
So I would still open it up for discussion to make sure that you can find one. And then when somebody is comfortable, they can make a motion to recommend, for example, second Tuesday of the month at 7 PM.
Okay.
But if you don't feel like there's a consensus, you might want to open it up for more discussion to see if there's any more flexibility.
So I think everybody recommended, so I think there were two commissioners who recommended or preferred third Wednesday.
I motion third Wednesday of every month, or third Wednesday of the month.
Third one.
So if she's making a motion
Yeah.
for the third Wednesday, then you'll open it up for a second. Someone has to second.
Anybody seconds that?
I'll second that motion.
Now you're going to go ahead and, I believe it's a roll call. There's no more discussion about it. Oh, Commissioner Nair, or Chair Nair, you're go ahead and call the name of the commissioner and ask them, and they'll say either A or nay.
Ms. Green,
Make sure you turn your microphone.
Yes.
Commissioner Maninder,
Yes.
Commissioner Scott,
Yes.
Commissioner Raj.
Yes.
And
All right, I
you're-
think the motion is passed for holding our meeting on Wednesday, third Wednesday of every month
And you make sure you mention the time too, so it's on record.
at 7 PM.
Okay.
Third Wednesday of each month.
Okay, great. So that concludes all of our action items for today. So typically it'll go a lot smoother than this. We voted this way similar to how the board voted for their vice chair and vice chair. In the future, it'll be a lot easier because some of you will still be on the board, and others in the community will be more aware of our process. So it should be a lot smoother in about 2 years when we go around for our next election. So we're going to go ahead and start with a presentation by our Assistant District Counsel on the Brown Act.
Hello, Commissioners. It's nice to be here tonight. My name is Camilla Getz, and I am the Assistant District Attorney for you all. And John Bacher is the District Attorney. And so we wanted to go over some quick Brown Act training, which will be very important in your role as a commissioner.
Next.
Is the power button on? It's on the side.
Okay. So the purpose of the Brown Act. It was authored by Ralph Brown, and the legislature adopted the Brown Act to safeguard the public's right of access to participate in local government meetings. And the purpose behind this act is to make sure that these meetings are fully transparent, as if they're being held in a glass house and have no secrecy amongst the government and the community. And it also ensures meaningful public access and participation in local government decisions. So meetings must be open to the public, held on a regular schedule, and follow an agenda posted in advance. Who does the Brown Act apply to? It applies to decision makers and committees of public agencies. So this includes legislative bodies, subsidiary bodies, but it does not apply to ad hoc advisory committees. Basic meeting requirements. So what is a meeting? A meeting is a majority or a quorum gathered to hear, discuss, deliberate, or take action on any item within the subject matter jurisdiction of the city or district. That's a meeting. This broadly applies to any communication. So this includes face-to-face communications, phone calls, emails, text, and social media interactions. And the idea is to prevent a consensus from being formed outside of a formal public meeting process. Any meeting of decision makers to discuss government business requires an agenda posted in advance and the opportunity for public comment. No action or discussions items that are not included on the agenda are permitted at these meetings. Communication with staff. So the Brown Act does not prevent an employee or official from engaging in separate conversations or communications outside of a meeting with members of the legislative body or your additional staff in order to answer questions or provide information regarding a matter that was within the subject matter jurisdiction of the local agency. If that person does not communicate to the members of the legislative body, the comments or positions of any other body or members of the legislative body.
And please feel free to ask any questions during the presentation if there's something that you want to go over again or are unclear about.
Yes, and I'll time for questions at the end as well, so. Okay, so a quiz question. Was there a meeting? So there's a local high school football game. 2 members of the commission are in attendance and they sit next to each other and they discuss a proposal from you're an HR director or Laura. Is this a meeting? You guys want to indulge me, shout out an answer?
No, it's not a meeting. There's no quorum.
That's right. This is not a meeting because there isn't a quorum. I had a few more. I think we can go over a couple more examples. So let's say the Parks Commission goes on a staff retreat and you all are there. Would this be a meeting? So let's say that the Parks and Rec Commission goes on a commission retreat. I see Commissioner Green nodding. Yes, this would be a meeting because there is a quorum and you all are met to discuss business as it relates to the district. Okay, let's say the commission goes to a sports facility to view fields for a facility provider that helps out with the cricket team. Would this be a meeting? Yes, this would be a meeting because there's a quorum present, the majority of the commissions are there, and it's for district business. So even though it's not in a room like this, this is still a meeting and the rules of the Brown Act apply. Yes.
Quick question. If any member is missing, they can still discuss during, they all go to football, but let's say 1 or 2 members are missing.
So-
The rest can still discuss?
Yes, yeah, as long if there's a quorum, then that's still going to be considered a meeting and the Brown Act is going to apply. Does that answer your question? Okay, great. Okay, meetings and social media. This is a big thing that comes up in modern day, although the Brown Act was passed in the 50s, so it wasn't necessarily considering this. So there's more recent bills and legislation that's been passed pertaining to social media. So a majority of the members may not use social media platforms. So this includes Facebook, Instagram, Twitter to discuss any agency business together. A singular member may not respond directly to any communication posted or shared by another member regarding agency business on a media platform. And yes, this even includes thumbsing up one of your fellow commissioner members' posts or doing a little emoji. And generally, we like to advise that it's best to avoid interacting with social media posts of your fellow commissioners to ensure that you do not violate the Brown Act. Okay, serial meetings. This is probably one of the more important things I'll talk to you guys about tonight. So a serial meeting is a series of communications related to, and sorry that the acronyms aren't, but the commission business that involves less than a quorum of the commission, but taken as a whole involve the quorum of the members. So I have some diagrams to kind of pull this out for you guys. And this is strictly prohibited because you're not communicating in an open and noticed meeting. And this is really easy to unknowingly violate. So let's look out for it. Okay, so there's two examples of these serial meetings. One kind of form is called hub and spoke, and the other is a daisy chain. And so what a hub and spoke serial meeting is when one commissioner, we'll call them Commissioner A, takes some business, commission business, and goes and communicates it to Commissioner B. And then Commissioner A goes and communicates that to Commissioner C, and then so forth. So it's like the green, one commissioner going individually and communicating commission business to all of you, which would create a serial meeting, which is then subject to the Brown Act. And then it would be require notice, open to the public, etc. And then the second example of a serial meeting would be what I like to think of as the daisy chain. So that would be one commissioner going and communicating with another commissioner, Commissioner B, and then Commissioner B is taking that information and communicating it to Commissioner C until we create a majority, a quorum, a meeting that then is subject to the Brown Act and needs to be open to public comment and notice, which this, internal discussion would not be. So that is prohibited. And this isn't just one commissioner going and talking to another. This also includes texting and emailing, which is what you really need to look out for. So you can't, do the hub and spoke, text one commissioner about, the staff recommendation, and then text the other. And then the other key thing is with emails and how easy it is if staff sends an email with all of you on it, and then you want to hit reply all and start discussing it. That could create a meeting, which then is subject to the Brown Act. Any questions on serial meetings?
On the hub and scope model that you have discussed
Well, can you
earlier.
speak up, please?
Yeah, on the hub and scope model,
Yes.
the green button isn't a commissioner in this case, right? Or is it?
Would be the commissioner.
Okay,
Yes.
so that would be number 6 in this example. So if number 6 goes and speaks to 1, 2.
Do you mean if like one of the spokes goes and starts speaking to other spokes?
No, I was just trying to understand if it's just the hub speaking to everybody or just the hub is speaking to 1 and then let's say the hub speaks to 1 and then 1 calls number 2.
Yes.
Is that what you meant by this or no?
Yes. So say Commissioner A wants to talk to, let's say the item is a contract for a field, a football field. And Commissioner A has thoughts on this. So Commissioner A goes and talks to Commissioner B about their thoughts. And then Commissioner A goes and talks to Commissioner C about their thoughts. Okay. Then Commissioner A goes and talks to Commissioner D about that. If we get to a majority of the commissioner members, that would create a meeting because we're talking about district business as it relates to the Parks and Recreation's subject matter jurisdiction, which is like the material that the commissioners oversee. And so that creates a meeting, even though it might seem like the commissioner is just going and talking to their, fellow commissioner members to kind of bounce ideas off of each other. If you go and talk to a majority of the commissioner members through this hubs and spoke or the like telephone daisy chain type, it creates a meeting. And then we're subject to the open to the public and the noticing requirements.
Thank you, Ms. Wall.
Okay. And it's not just talking, it's also emailing and text messages is what in modern day we really need to look out for. Okay,
So in case if that happens, then what do we have to inform public also what was discussed in those hub or spoke meeting or daisy chain meeting and open it for comments on that, or is that or is just not allowed to have a daisy chain meeting or hub or spoke?
so how to remediate if there is basically a meeting created? Yeah, it could, there's different ways that it could be addressed, but it could be, then making that information available to the public. And yeah, that would be one way to go about it. Okay, so the actual meeting rules, an overview of that is that all people need to be allowed to attend the meetings. Broadcasting, videotaping, and photographing must be permitted at the meetings. And then there are no secret ballots, so the public can know the vote of each member.
Can you go
Commissioner
back?
Green?
Can you go back to that last rule that you were discussing? Because for me, it made it sound like that if I went and talked to him and went and talked to him and went and talked to him, but then came back and made it public, that would make that okay.
No, it doesn't
Right,
make
it
that
doesn't make it,
okay.
right,
No,
but
yeah.
that's how it sounded.
No,
to
just
me.
in terms of a way to remediate the potential Brown Act violation, one way would be to go and to remediate and make the information public. And just in general too, I think it's important to point out, and maybe there'll be additional training on that, but as members of a public agency, any of your emails and text messages are subject to the Public Records Act, the California Public Records Act. And so then those materials can be requested by the public and made public through that means. There's a lot of exceptions and that sort of thing. But something to note and kind of goes hand in hand with the Brown Act.
The
And if
bottom-
there is a violation, contact Laura and then she'll contact me and John and we'll come, do the proper measures to make sure that any violations are remediated and, the public is informed. And, the purpose of the Brown Act is to not keep secrets from the public.
It
and
is a
operate in
violation,
transparency.
right?
What's in
It's a
violation?
violation
What's in violation?
to do what you just said.
The hub and spoke, yes, that
it's
is a violation.
That's
if
what
it
I want
creates-
to make
okay,
clear.
Yes,
It is a violation. You cannot do it.
you cannot do that.
So don't think that
No, don't
you
think,
can do it
No.
and then, oh, okay,
no, that's,
let's make it public.
no,
Thank you.
that's exactly right. Thank you.
Even though it is a meeting and there is a quorum, it's frowned upon or not.
It's not just frowned upon, it's illegal,
Illegal,
it's a
yeah.
violation, and you're subject to civil and criminal penalties. Yes, so it's not, don't do it. Okay, we went over the meeting rules. And then the other important aspect of a meeting is the notice and agenda requirements. So there's different kinds of meetings. There's a regular meeting, a special meeting, an emergency meeting, and these different meetings have different notice and agenda requirements. So the requirements for a regular meeting, the agenda needs to be posted 72 hours in advance. And generally, agenda items, you want a description of each item of business, generally not to exceed about 20 words. And the purpose of these agenda items are to inform the public of the scope of the body's intended plans so the public can decide whether or not to attend. And then with the agendas, you want to provide alternate formats for people with disabilities. ensure that there's space for a public commenting period. And then there's web posting requirements as well, so they'll be posted on the district's website. So for a special meeting, you need to provide a 24-hour posting notice, and then describe each distinct action. And then emergency meeting, which pertains to public health and safety and welfare. Those agenda items, the agenda, sorry, only needs to be posted 1 hour in advance. Yeah. And then the specific notice and posting requirements don't have to be complied with. Okay, public right to comment. Public must be able to participate at every meeting. The comment they have to have the opportunity to comment on agenda items, and that must occur either before or during consideration by the commission, but before the action. And if a member of the public comes up and has negative comments on an action item, they still are permitted to comment. Okay, so penalties for violations of the Brown Act. There's criminal. So if you violate the Brown Act, you're subject to potential criminal charges, and this has a knowledge requirement. So you must have had the intent to deprive the public of the information. So you had to want to keep it secret. And then there's also civil liabilities and potentially the district having to pay attorney's fees for the violations. And then there's also just the damage to public reputation and perception of the commission. Okay, so some general Brown Act tips, kind of an overview is avoid discussing government business whenever a quorum of the board is around, including outside of meetings. So if this, meeting formally adjourns, but then you all gather outside around the town hall, it might seem like you could potentially be continuing to discuss, commissioner business that's within your subject matter jurisdiction. So just avoid discussing business when all of you guys are around. And then beware of reaching a quorum through intermediaries. So if one of your staff members basically acts in place of you asking questions to different board members, that can create a serial meeting, just like we discussed. So that's what I was kind of talking about with be careful with the reply all. So if y'all get a meeting that goes, email that goes out to all the commissioners, don't just hit reply all. And I think staff generally will try to BCC commissioner members so that there isn't actually a reply all option, because again, if you reply all to all board members and a discussion occurs, that can create a meeting. And then if you're in doubt, contact Laura, contact Steve, or contact me or John. Okay. And then any questions? And when things come up, if they come up, again, just don't hesitate to reach out. And we have different, I think, materials that we're working on to help provide you guys with this. But yeah, basically the overview is don't discuss meetings or commissioner business if there's a majority of you all present, unless it's at a meeting that's publicly noticed and open to public comment.
One question.
Yes.
So I know when public comments, they need not to be responded, right? Based on the 3 minutes,
Mhm.
commissioners may not respond, right? May or may not, correct?
Yeah, typically what you want to do is, allow the public comment to happen, and the commissioner does not have a obligation to respond to the public comment.
Does anyone else need to take action or take a note of that public comment?
The public comment will be recorded on the record, and it's optional for the commenter to state their name, but typically they do, so their name is recorded for the record. Mhm.
If it's a general question, we can answer those.
Okay. good.
Or your chair can defer it to staff, and staff will get back to the community member.
Got it.
Yes,
Thank
and
you.
if the public commenter comes up and they're discussing something that isn't within the subject matter jurisdiction, so not something that the Parks and Rec Commission oversees, I think, yeah, you don't have to respond or address the comment. And if it exceeds the time limitation, you can politely ask them to
Okay.
move on. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, and if you have any questions between now and the next meeting, or anytime you have a question about it, go ahead and email that to me and give me about a 2 business days to respond. I'll consult with the attorneys and then give you the correct answer if I don't know it. Okay, so our next order of business will be to review, it's actually not the Roberts Rules of Order. We actually go by the Rosenberg's Rule of Order. It's a more simplified view. So I have a presentation for you here. And again, if this is going through how we're going to be running the meeting. So if you have any questions during this presentation, please raise your hand, turn on your microphone, and we'll try to address it right away. After we review the rules, we'll go ahead and go over any of our future agenda topics. Again, these are just suggestions for future topics. So it's a simplified version of a parliamentary rules here in California. It's easy to learn, and the purpose of the rules is to promote cooperation and harmony in our meetings so that we can go ahead and conduct a business. And then the rules ensure that all of our members have equal rights, privileges, and obligation. And the majority has a right to decide, protecting the rights of the minority. So some things to remember: everyone has a right to participate and discuss. A quorum must be present for the group to act. And if there is not a quorum, only the motions allowed are to recess or to adjourn. However, we do have 2 alternates. So if anytime one of our active commissioners is not able to attend, we will assign one of the alternate commissioners to step in. So the role of the chairperson is to maintain order, enforce the rules, remain impartial, calm and objective, and provide clarification. So they are kind of leading the meeting. And then the role of our chairperson is to serve in the absence of the chair and complete any reports that he or she has been assigned. Any questions so far for our 2 chair and vice chair? Okay. Termination. So again, you would be automatically terminated if you miss 3 meetings in a 12-month period. And the 12-month is generally July through June. So between now and next June, we need to keep track of attendance. So it will be 3 meetings. If you miss 3 without written approval from either the general manager or board president, then you may be dismissed. An example of a written approval would be that you have a scheduled vacation, or you're out sick with a family member, or you have a prior obligation that would, not prevent you from coming. If you are convicted of a crime, and also a situation where you have a conflict of interest, then you won't be able to participate. And then again, the role of the alternate is to fill in for the majority vote so that we could have a quorum. If an alternate member is unable and unwilling to serve, the vacancy may be filled by a recommendation by the president of the board of directors, 14 days. Going back. Here we go. So the order of business shall be established by the staff liaison, which is myself, and the chair. Any commissioner or alternate may place an item for consideration on the agenda for any regular meeting, and the request must be made sufficiently in advance. You can do that tonight at the meeting. When we get to the portion, you can recommend items for the next agenda. And then the chair and I will discuss what will be put onto the next agenda. The agenda contains almost exactly what you see right now. It has our public comments. It has minutes. Let's see. action items, discussion items, and then comments from the commission. Will allow you at the end of the meeting, we'll go through, the chair will call each commissioner if they have any comments or something they want to see on the agenda, talk about something in their community. That'll be the opportunity where you can share that information. And then we will have adjournment. So we do have comment cards. Did you have a question?
My question was on minutes. So the minutes are discussing minutes from the previous meeting or?
Yes, so at your next meeting, we'll have the minutes from tonight. It'll have all the specific detail of all of the action items that you did tonight and how many voted and who voted for whom, and it'll clarify all of that. You'll have a chance to review those at the next meeting. And if you approve them, we will go ahead and submit them. If you don't approve them and they need fixing, then we bring it back again to the next meeting where you'll have a chance to approve it. So we have comment cards that are in the back. Members of the public who do not wish to verbally speak to the commission are welcome to fill that out. We give them to the chair to read during the public comment section. We also allow the public to go ahead and to email me if they have any comments that they would like to submit. And again, I would give that to our chair to read at the public comment section. So again, a staff report similar to what I have here. The chair would announce the agenda item typically. They would invite the staff person, which is myself, to give the report, including any of my recommendations. I might have a presentation. And then the chair will ask members of the commission if they have any technical questions. So you can, if you have a specific question about something that's in here that needs a little clarification. For example, you asked, is it the second Tuesday that's available? Is it this third Wednesday that's available? You can ask those specific technical types of questions. Then the chair would invite public to comment on the staff report. The chair may limit the speakers to 3 minutes, and at the conclusion, the chair should announce the public comment is concluded. So unfortunately, we didn't have public comment on these particular items because they referred to business just between the commission itself. But in the future, for example, if we were to talk about building a new field, you would ask your clarifying questions, then the chair would open it up to the public to comment, and then you may have a line of comments. It could only be 1 or 2 people. And then the chair would decide when to conclude at that point. So then at that point, the chair would invite a motion. The chair announces the name of the commissioner who makes a motion. So for example, if Commissioner Pfister made the motion, he'd say Commissioner Pfister made a motion to approve the field to be built. And then the chair should determine if any commissioner wishes to second the motion. So if somebody hasn't already voiced that they would like to second it, the chair then invites the commission to second it. And then once it's been seconded, the chair should make sure everyone understands the motion. And then you open it up for discussion. So you would open it up from discussion from one side over to the next. And if they don't have anything to say, they would say no comment. But you would say, Commissioner Green, is there anything that you would like to discuss? And then she might bring up her thoughts. She might have more questions. Then we open it up for debate. So it's discussion and debate is pretty much the same thing, but it can be different. The debate can continue as long as commissioners wish to discuss the item. The following motions are not debatable. Motion to adjourn, to recess, to fix the time to adjourn. For example, for going very late and you want to end it at midnight, you could make a motion to end it, and there would be, you wouldn't vote. You would just do a second and it would be over. Motion, I'm sorry, you do vote. It would be a majority vote. Motion to table, motion to limit debate. So then back to discussion. The proposer of the motion has the first right to debate. So if Commissioner Singh chooses to make the motion, you would start with him. And make sure the comments are regarding that specific item, not any other item on the agenda. It's important that we all listen to everybody and focus on the issues and be polite. Oops. So to make a motion, the chair usually initiates it in one of three ways. They invite the commission to make a motion. He's either would suggest a motion, or you yourself would make the motion. So there's different kinds of motion. There's a basic one. And I gave an example. It's where you want to forward a decision for the commission's consideration. There's a motion to amend it. So if Commissioner Green makes a motion, Commissioner Singh might say something that's slightly different. He might want to amend a motion that Commissioner Green gave. And then you have a substitute motion where another member of the commission might want to erase both of those previous motions and recommend a substitute motion. So when you have three motions at the same time, the chair can reject any future motion so that you can deal with those first three motions. And again, I know that I'm throwing a lot at you and I'm throwing out motions and you may not quite understand it, but as we go through the meetings, we will be walking through this with you. So when there's two or three motions on the floor, you typically take care of the last one, which usually might take care of the first one or the first two.
So these motions are related to the same business, or there could be totally different motions for different businesses?
You make the motion on the item that we're currently discussing.
And somebody that does a second motion of,
Yes,
and then a substitute motion is about the same, okay.
exactly. It must be on the item that we're discussing. So then voting on a motion, if there's no more discussion, the chair should announce the commission will vote. The chair takes a vote, simply asking A or nay. If members do not wish to vote, they may abstain. And then the chair will announce the result of the final vote. Just as an example, the motion passes by a vote of such and such to such and such. You mentioned the two who might have abstained, or I'm sorry, the two that voted nay. We've passed the motion requiring that we meet on Saturdays at 2 p.m. So Chair, when you make the final result, make sure you're really specific and you pretty much want to quote the staff report recommendation. 3-2 vote to hold the Parks and Recreation Commission on the third Wednesday of the month at 7 p.m. And then ending a meeting, a chair calls for a motion to adjourn the meeting. And any commissioner may move to adjourn and another commissioner will second it. And then the chair will declare the meeting adjourned and then it will be over. We'll record the end of the meeting, the time of the meeting, and then there will be no more discussion at that point. Any questions so far?
Can you share this presentation?
I'm sorry, say.
Can you share this presentation?
Oh, absolutely. I'll
Okay.
forward all of this to you at the end of this meeting.
Yeah.
Also, at our next meeting, Camilla and I are working on a Commissioner Binder 101. We'll include the Brown Act information that she's got for you. We'll also include these Rosenberg rules for you. You can keep it as a reference. You can bring it with you to the commission meeting. But I myself will also have those. So if you should have any questions during the meeting, I can answer those for you. Anything else?
Are we gonna get detail on how to create our emails?
Yes, so I sent it a while back, but I'll send it again. It's kind of, there's a temporary password. It's kind of, has anybody had a chance to try and log in? No?
Yeah, I don't recall
remember
getting it,
getting
but I'll
that.
check again.
Okay,
I don't remember getting that.
okay. Well, then I'll send them again. It'll be your first initial of your first name and your last name at sjgov.org. So I'll re-forward it to you as well as the password that goes with it. And once you log in the first time, then you can create your own password at that point.
Laura, one question.
Presentation back up. Yes.
One question. Regarding the agenda items, what's the target? Like before the next meeting, it should be done like how many days or weeks before that the agenda should be ready?
Typically about 3 weeks before, we should know what's on the agenda. It'll take me about 2 weeks to put all the information together. then I will send it out 1 week before the meeting date. So if it's every third Wednesday of the month is your meeting, I'll send it out either the second Wednesday to the second Friday, one of those 3 days, you'll get the agenda. But it'll take me about the first 2 weeks of the month to put together the agenda packet.
And the commissioners can send directly the item they want to put on agenda to you directly in the first
So
2
at the
weeks?
end of this meeting, we recommend that you make a suggestion to the chair, what you'd like to see on your next agenda. And then the chair and I will discuss what it is that we put on the agenda. And he'll also take into consideration public comment. If there's particular comments that come up that are regular, that the commission wants to address, we might put that on the agenda. It's ultimately between the chair who will put things on the agenda. If you want to suggest more to your chair, Camilla, can they do that through email? Can they suggest it through email?
Yes, if it's. You can submit a suggestion to your chair, as long as you're not creating a quorum. So if it's just one communication, if that makes sense. So yeah, individually, you can ask questions of your chair, as long as you're not, replying all and doing the hub and spoke or the daisy chain series meeting.
Okay, so in other words, if during the meeting, we are not able to propose anything but later on want to propose, we can send the email to the chair.
Correct.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Okay.
Sorry, one more question, Laura. So the emails of each chair or each commissioner will be given to us?
Mhm.
Okay,
Mhm.
got it.
Just make sure that you don't, you blind copy everybody.
Thank you.
Okay, so Commissioner Green?
I found it.
Oh, okay. So some future agenda items that staff will already be preparing for you include the following. I'd like to go over at your next meeting, your work plans and your goals. So I'll facilitate that for you, but that's something that you all will be putting together. Those will be your goals through June of 2024. I'll also give you the special events calendar through January through June of next year at our November meeting, which then we take to the board in December for their final approval. And then I'll give you a new calendar in December as we put together our new budget for the next fiscal year. And then again, that will be brought to the board for approval. One of the items that I've noticed since being here is that our rental policies need to be updated. It includes our tennis courts, indoor facilities, athletic fields, park and picnic rentals, and then some special event policies. And again, these policies will be recommended to you, and then you, as the commission, will then recommend them to the board. So there's always going to be one more step, especially when it comes to policy. Any policy must be approved by the board. So for example, if we created a tennis court policy that you have to be over 6 feet tall to play tennis, we would then take it to the board and say, the Parks and Rec Commission recommends that the board approve the tennis court policy that you have to be 6 feet tall. So just using that as an example. And then finally, one of the things too that staff will bring to you are recreation classes. As we begin to grow our programs, we'll ask for your guidance on what kind of recreation programs that you would all like to see. Me as staff, I will give you recommendations based on what the community wants, the facilities, the resources that we have, trends in parks and recreation. So those are some examples of some future items. Any questions about that?
So in case board vetoes something or then it comes back for discussion to us, or we have to reconsider the height requirements for tennis players?
If they don't approve it,
Yeah.
it could come back to this commission if
Yeah.
you'd like to make us another recommendation.
or they can make their own recommendation and pass that.
Correct, correct.
If we want to add something, we can do it in this meeting.
Yes, in our, if we're done with discussion on this particular item, our chair typically would then move on to our next item, which is comments by the Parks and Recreation Commission and staff on any non-agenda item. So this is a point in our agenda where you're going to go ahead and open it to discussion down, straight down your dais there. And you can talk about anything that you would like to share or talk about. And you can also make recommendations for the next meeting. Keep in mind that we want to accomplish a lot, but keep in mind that we don't want a lot of items on our agenda. We want to make sure that we're focusing our attention on a few, but not a ton.
Yep.
So.
Is one of the agenda items also future rec facilities or the parks and sporting fields?
Absolutely. So when the South Community Park comes online, we'll be talking about those kinds of policies that relate just specifically to that field. If we haven't already addressed it in a field policy, we might talk about different kinds of programming that we might have at that park. And then I'll probably give you updates at every meeting under item 8, Park and Facilities Report. I might give you updates on how many people are using it. What kind of revenue have we received from it? What's the feedback from the community?
Is the new tennis courts and the amphitheater, are those up for discussion also, or those plans are finalized?
Unfortunately, I don't have an update on those particular projects at the moment, but those will be our first projects that will probably be built. As far as I know, I think the tennis courts will be first, but at our next meeting, I'll have a more definite discussion for you. Okay, so Chair, if you'd like to go ahead and ask the commissioners if they have any comments or anything they'd like to share.
Commissioner Green, any comments, anything you'd like to share?
So if I'm to understand correctly, we are supposed to come up with programs during this time for our next meeting that we would like to suggest programs we would like to have as part of the Parks and Recreation Commission.
It's not that detailed quite yet.
Okay,
The item would be a series of different types of programs. So it wouldn't just be any particular one program that you'd be voting on.
yes, that's what I mean. Just
Okay.
coming up with ideas for programs for Parks and Recreation.
Yeah, so the discussion item might be for staff to research what the community wants, what kind of resources we have, because you have a particular interest in senior programming. And if the rest of the commission wants to bring up that topic and your chair wants to put it on your agenda, then I will go back and survey the seniors and see what kind of rooms we have available. And then we'll put that on the agenda and you guys would discuss it.
So we're talking about programs, not facilities.
It could be both.
Okay.
It could be one or the other. In regards to facilities, we really need to tighten up our rental policies. And so that might be, I would recommend that as a first order of business. And then we'll go to programming. We only have, we have use of the Unity Center for 150 hours for a year. We have use of the Firehouse Community Room. We use the TH1 room here in the building. And then, as you know, we have numerous parks and facilities. So we definitely have some places that start growing new programs.
Would it be as helpful to have, Laura, before the next meeting, all commissioners have some kind of email through which shows that, okay, these are the programs currently run and these facilities. If this rental is coming next in the next discussion, is that something possible?
Say again, you want a list of all of our current programs?
So current rental policies.
Oh, yes. So for example, if that's on our agenda, I'll bring the current policies. I'll make my recommendations and then you will discuss it. And if you want further information, I'll go back and bring it to the next meeting after that. But if you all as a commission are comfortable with the new policies that I recommend or that the commission wants to see added, then you vote for them. And then at the following board meeting, I take it to them for final approval, and then we implement them. So it might take about 2 to 3 months before anything is actually implemented.
Okay.
So is there any glaring problem with the rental policies right now that need to be addressed or looked at?
No, they're sufficient. They're sufficient enough. Since me and my staff are fairly new here to Mountain House, we are able to, we're able to be black and white when it comes to the policies, whereas maybe the community is not so clear on some of the policies. So we're seeing a little bit of growing pains. Our community is growing so fast and our fields are getting booked so often. So I've just been making a list of things that we could change. And it's not just me coming up with ideas. It's stuff that either I've had in my experience or I'm surveying neighboring cities that are similar, that have some of the similar growing problems that we have too. So, and then this is why we have you on our commission. We need to get your feedback. We've chosen you all for specific reasons, something that you can bring to the table, even if it's something that you're not even familiar with. If you have no idea about fields, but you're a parent and you have 2 small kids, you might have experience at Central Park, and you might want to bring that kind of experience to the commission. So. You want to ask for any more discussion or comments?
Commissioner Maninder, saying any comments? Commissioner Scott, any comments, any?
No, I just say I'm looking forward to reviewing those policies, and I think certainly going through and maybe looking at how people clean up and like maintain the fields if they are renting them. I want to make sure that that gets addressed. Certainly have seen that a few times with fields, and just want to make sure people are respecting them when they do rent them.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure that that gets prioritized, I guess. in
Yeah,
the policies.
absolutely. And we are Parks and Recreation Commission. So if there is an item that needs to be brought up regarding park maintenance or building, I'll make sure that we have the right people and staff that can come and discuss that or share any information for you.
Commissioner Green, comment?
Right now, do we have, when people rent facilities, are there maintenance deposits?
There are deposits, yes.
Okay.
Commissioner Singh, any comments, any discussion topics?
Thank you, Chair. I think it's a good idea to get a review going, like everybody else is saying here. I would love to see the existing policies, whether that is something you could send us
Mhm.
in advance to look at
Mhm.
the board or during the meeting. I think that'd be a good place to start. Thank you for the
Sure.
suggestion. Yeah.
Commissioner Sanjay.
Thank you, Chair. So my comment is regarding getting the feedback from the community. Because the way I feel is Park and Recreation Commission is a communication channel between board, public, and putting it together that we do right. So I was just thinking that our engagement with public, that should, if that can become an agenda item, so that we get the interest of community and that way make decisions. I know there will be some recommendations from you, Laura, but I'm just saying is going forward, if there is some forum of where we start engaging with public,
Mhm.
that way we start getting the feedback, survey, town hall, and that way they know that, okay, our interests are represented by this commission and doing it. So just thought on if we can add that in the agenda item to discuss the format, how should we engage, what kind of feedback we should get. And then those kind of interest we try to put in our policies. Thank you.
Any other comments by any other commissioners?
If there's no more comments now, you'll ask for a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I ask for motion to adjourn the meeting.
I second the motion.
No, somebody has to make I motion to, and then someone will second it.
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I second it.
All right, meeting is adjourned for tonight. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Congratulations.